Hi, welcome back to On the Bench. Today we are talking about the bad guys. These are Votainion Starfighters in 1/32nd scale from the Star Strikers era of the Star Saga. Star Strikers, Nat Trap, um, these books. Uh, what I'm going to talk about first is Nat Trap. Um, so I came across this idea that I had drawn a long time ago for a future starfighter, and it was really complicated the way I drew it. In fact, I drew it so it was so complicated that I had to do like an orthographic drawing of it, and even then I was not quite sure how it was going to look, or if the angles worked. Let's put it that way. Um, it it has a really weird shape. So I did what they do in Hollywood. Sometimes they create the model out of cardboard, and this is sometimes called a maquette. And so this is that cardboard model that I built. And you can see there's measurements all over. I don't know if you probably can't see it because it's so small, but there's little measurements in inches for each part. Because what I would do after I put this together, and this is done with trial and error. So I'm out there with a ruler and I'm measuring and I'm cutting up cart poster board essentially, the kind of material that your student uses to make science project demonstrations. I'm using Elmer's glue, scissors, and cardboard, exactly the where I started in this whole modeling thing for these designs. And I'm building them out of cardboard and Elmer's glue, and I'm able to rapidly prototype, and it doesn't cost me anything. So it's like maybe $1.50 for a piece of poster board. The scissors are free. The glue I already have on hand. Basically cost me nothing to do this. So I make iterate different designs. um, Sometimes I make the wrong cut. Doesn't matter. I just cut it again. It's not plastic that I'm cutting. Plastic's very expensive. So anyway, the whole idea is to build the model to scale, that I'm going to build it in plastic, but do it in poster board so that it doesn't cost an arm and a leg when I screw it up. I'm sorry, this is very lightweight. It's hard to get hold on. Um, so this is what I came up with in the design, and as you can tell, it's because it's all white. It's hard to tell, but it's a very complicated shape. I'm trying to move it around in the light a little bit. That's the bottom. This is the top. This is the canopy where the pilot sits, and the engines would be back here. Okay, and it has wings, weapons pods up here that I didn't really build out because they weren't part of the lines of the ship. Um, and there you go. So I built this out of poster board, took all the measurements from it, and then recreated the thing in plastic. And this is what you wind up with. This is the actual model that appears on the book cover of Nat Fighter, which is a novella that takes place directly after Star Strikers. So in reading order, you have Star Strikers and then you have Nat Trap. And this is a Nat Fighter. And the good guys were trying to trap one of these fighters and basically steal it so that they can figure out how it works, because this has next generation technology, which I'm not going to really go into today, but it's totally different. It's very stealthy. It has the ability to pop in and out of time and place in a matter of their choosing, and that is really hard to track. And that's the whole plot of Star Strikers. But anyway, um, this is the Nat Fighter. It is really difficult to do a model like this for a number of reasons. Well, first of all, I talked about how complicated the design was, so that's one thing. Second of all, because it was stealthy and I wanted to convey that stealth nature of it, I decided to paint the whole thing black. And as you can tell, it's really hard. It kind of looks like a Batman fighter, doesn't it? It's really hard to see anything. I mean, I've got these flood lamps around me on it, and you still can't see much of the detail on it. But it's there, trust me. And a lot of the so when you go to weather a model like this, for instance, you can't just put dirt and streaks of grime on it and stuff because you just don't see it. It's black on black essentially. So you have to use contrasting colors. So some of the colors that I have accented on these panel lines and stuff is actually silver. So that's the only way I could get them to pop. Votainion Fighters, and I kind of experimented with this on earlier designs, which I'll show you in a minute. But the insides of a Votainion Starfighter are this blue-gray color, and it's a color that I mixed up myself a long time ago with paint, and it's got a lot of blue in it and a lot of gray, so it's this blue-gray color, and it's different than anything else, but it's what they paint. It's like an corrosive material that they put on their parts. Very similar to what we use with zinc chromate on aircraft. Zinc chromate is this nasty yellow-green color. And if you look on the inside of World War II airplanes, that's what the color they are, because that's the anti-corrosive that they put on the metal. So um, I didn't want to use zinc chromate because that was kind of a real world thing. So it's my own version of that for the Votainians. And it turns out to be this blue-gray color. Anyway, some of the parts are that color. This one is unique because it does have lights in it, and there's a switch up underneath the wing. Hard to see. And I can stick my finger in there and flip the switch, and it has headlights. I don't know why. Actually, the cover shot of the model actually has those on, so I don't know. It looks kind of cool. It also has engine lights, but they're just real pointy pits of light, which kind of dumb. But you know, that was me experimenting. It's run by a 9-volt battery, and these are LED lights. So yeah, very simplistic electrically. But anyway, it's kind of fun. But that's the Nat Fighter, and using a maquette. Throw all this to the side. I'll bring forward this guy. And this guy is one of my favorite models that I've ever done. And I'm going to kind of bring it up close here. There are lots of close-up pictures of this being made on my website. So if you go to the model section of ken-mcconnell.com and look for this model, you'll see sequential pictures of it being built, and a whole Google picture bucket full of stuff. So if you like to look at behind the scenes stuff and see what it looked like, and see really detailed pictures of it, that's where you need to go. But this is a twin pipe design, the pipes being the engines. A lot of inspiration in this area of detailing came from the Star Wars Y-wing. And so I'm particularly proud of that area of the detailing. It looked really cool. The other part that I like is this nose section, really fine details in there that look really cool. The engines have this cutaway section here where you can see engine parts on both sides, and you'll see that blue gray that I was talking about. This is the color right here. So these sections may have been covered with panels at one point, but they've been stripped in the field and taken away, so for easy access. Again, much like the Y-wing, the inspiration. But this is a bad guy fighter. This is 1/32 scale, and there's a little pilot in there. It's hard to see him. He's in there. And the engine detailing are from a F-104 Starfighter in 1/32 scale, in case you're curious. Everything else is from who knows where. Lots of different things. These engine parts, the dark kind of steel gray color, and the actual pipe going in here, this is all PVC pipes, and the rest of it's plastic that's been glued on and boxed out. Really cool design. I like it from a number of angles: head on, overhead, stern shot looks really cool. Also really love the way the engines came out with the detailing. Everything looks like it has some kind of an imaginary purpose to it, which that's the whole art of detailing. So you got that bugger. And this one, I went to shoot this episode today, and I was like, what happened to that other Votainion fighter that I had? And I looked around. Then I remembered, oh yeah, it fell off the shelf and it's in a box because it's like a kit model now. It's in pieces. So that's why it has blue tape on it, because it's being glued back together as we speak. But all of the sections of it, it was about 3 or 4 big chunks of pieces just broke apart. Plastic models don't impact with cement very well. And so it's in the process of getting refurbished as a model. And part of that is you'll see this streaks of, there's some white in here that's water-based sandable putty, and which I'll eventually paint over. But and it's got a cracked canopy, and this is actually the fuselage of of the F-104 model that I had. So this is a kit bash model. It's mostly plastic parts that I've just put together. Um, this engine scoop here is from an F-14 Tomcat. The engine pieces themselves are, I think, PVC pipes again, and yeah, and lots of radiators and other little pieces of model bits. Kind of a fun design. It's very similar to one that I've drew, and I just kind of use parts bin stuff to make it without having to do complicated things like vacuum forming for the round edges and stuff. Kind of just cheated all that out and said, what can I make from the parts bin? And I think it turned out pretty cool. I do like the red paint job on the nose. I think that's pretty neat. I don't normally do that for warfighters, but it does add a bit of color to the otherwise gray model. But anyway, that's a triac fighter, and that this one and this one are primary fighters for the Votainians, the bad guys, in the Starstrikers era. So I hope you enjoyed that look at those fighters. I don't have anything like this for the good guys yet. That's one of the things I need to do in the coming year or two, is build a couple of starfighters for the good guys. The one in the background is a Spearon. This is the primary good guy fighter, and it's a different scale. It's even bigger than 132nd. So I kind of put that on hold because it's less useful to me. I can't even display it with these because it's so much bigger. Um, I may do a 132nd scale version of that fighter too, but there's a couple other ones that I want to build just before I stop building stuff like that. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed that look at the starfighters of the Votainian Empire, and we'll see you next time on the bench.